So let's start the video. So today we have the chapter named Nationalist Movement. And what's the date means? It's a movement, so it requires not only 1 year or 2 years, but it requires many years. So that's why the period is given over here. So you just mark it up over here. 1885 to 1919. So the revolt of 1857 was a turning point in history. I already told you the last day that the revolt of this 1857, the great revolt when the whole India striked up together for the first time in history, was a great point in history. It turned up the exploitation of now the Indians started to revolt against the British in small groups. And now let's see what is it. The period after the revolt witnessed major changes. India came directly under the British crown. That means now the flag of British could be hoisted over the flag of India. In India only. Okay? And then we have now the East India Company was no more there, and directly Queen Victoria was eligible to rule India. Okay? So, to prevent the occurrence of another such revolt, the British introduced the divide and rule policy. So, in this first war of independence, what did we learn? That the whole India was unified, and therefore united we stand, divided we fall. So, the whole India was unified, irrespective of their caste, their religion, their sex, etc. Okay, and therefore we could fight against the British, but then we got defeated. Okay, but now the British Queen did not want to face any more such revolts as of the 1857 revolt. Okay, as of the Sepoy Mutiny. So what did they do? They introduced the divide and rule policy. Now what's the meaning of divide? Now just look into my quotes, and that is, united we stand, divided we fall. So this united we stand, divided we fall. So united means they were all united at that point of time in 1847. Okay? Sorry, in 1857. 1857. And then now the British introduced the policy of divide and rule. That means they divided the Indians for, like, Indians had already many divisions such as religion, caste, sex. Okay, you must have known all this. So the British started to follow this policy. They used to divide the Indians among Muslims, Hindus, or Sikhs, etc. They used to divide all the Indians. So, but now how did they divide? Let's see up onto this. But now the Indians realized that their welfare was not a matter of concern for the British government. So now the Indians started to realize that no, our welfare is not the main concern of the British government. As of the Mughals were also invaders from the north only. Okay, from the north only, the Mughals also came from the north, but their thinking policy was that how to do the welfare of all the people. Okay, but then the Indians realized that no, the British will not do our welfare. We have to do our own welfare. British government will not release. It's not a matter. Our welfare is not a matter of concern for the British government. So then, what did they do? This gradually led to the feeling of nationalism among the Indians. Now, what is the meaning of nationalism? Nationalism means the feeling of breaking out of the British rule and the feeling of independence. They need independence, or they need Swaraj. Okay? Now, the feeling of oneness, brotherhood, and sense of belonging within a nation further sprouted a feeling of being Indian and wanting to free India. So, now, in reality, if we were united, at that point of time, in 1757, when the British entered our country, then if we were united, then we would have stopped this period from happening in history. But then we were not united, and therefore we are facing consequences, of the British in this period of time. But now the Indians know that no more religion, no more caste, no more sect. Now we are all one. We are Indians, and we need to fight against the Britishers. So the British were arrogant and regarded themselves superior to the Indians. Now how? The Indians were looked down upon and insulted. Okay? They had not contempt towards the Indians and treated them like slaves. Further development of transport and communication, especially the introduction of railways, indirectly promoted unity and brought the Indians closer. So in railways, what used to happen? In railways, no private transport, okay, everything is public. And then the Indians, and then all the caste, okay, all the caste, the sects, and then all the religion people, together they used to go on the railways. They were not separate coaches or platforms, okay. So this brought Indians closer. And railway was also another railways was also another sprout for the end of the British, and that is in railways only the first class and second class. We know nowadays we have three classes: first class, second class, and third class railway. Okay, during that time also they had four classes: first class, second class, third class, and fourth class. Okay, so only the Britishers were allowed to sit on the first class and the second class. The third class and the fourth class were allotted for the Indians. Okay, so therefore this proud against the Britishers. Another thing is that every man who see a British woman, whether Indian or Britishers, have to the tradition that they follow have had to bow down, etc. And so but when the Britishers see a Indian lady, they would not do that, and so it also sprouted with nationalism. Okay, really they saw, but then okay, the growth of press and nationalistic literature instilled a sense of patriotism among the people. Now the writers of this period, they also instilled patriotism in the mind of the people through their books. Okay, so it also disseminated ideas such as nationalism, democracy, socialism, liberty, and fraternity. All the writers such as Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay and then Rabindranath Tagore, they all wrote about nationalism. They were patriotic, okay, and so many people's minds were diverted by them only. Next, some newspapers were published during this period, which played an important role in the light of nationalism. Now, this is the causes, you must learn them. Okay, the British tried to stop them, but however, they still continued to be published. Okay, the British tried enforcing laws and etc. They used to capture people also. They used to jail people also. Okay, who were doing all this newspaper, but then the Indians were not to stop. Okay, because they knew that the Britishers are not doing anything for their welfare. Okay, so the Britishers tried to stop them, but however, they continue to be published, and some of them are the Indian Mirror, the Hindu, the Kesari, and the Tribune. So all these were nationalistic movement newspaper. They were published magazines. Okay, Indian Mirror, the people, how the people were treated. The people it stood in the front of a mirror, and the people are seeing that how Indians are treated during that period of time. Hindu, how the Hindus are treated. Kesari, you know what is that? It's a color actually, and then it symbolizes patriotism and bravery and etc. Tribune, okay, tributes, okay. Some of the writers and poets also wrote feelings about nationalism among the Indians through their writings. Many poems, okay, were there. Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, Bharatendu Harishchandra, Rabindranath Tagore, Subramanya Bharati. Okay, so there were many poems about which were written by them, and they were patriotic actually. So, okay. So now the Indian rulers, thinkers, and educated people began to realize that India is clutched with many social evils that is stopping them from attaining this nationalism. Now Indians also thought that yes, we have to rectify ourselves also. Okay, because there are many social evils prevailing over this period of time, and it's a time of Indian Renaissance. It means they are reawakening. Okay, they had certain beliefs and thoughts, but they are now reawakening with new thoughts and new beliefs. So they started to realize that social evils such as the sati pratha, and caste system, and child marriage, and killing of female babies, and illiteracy is will now has to be stopped now. Okay, because it's then those backward classes are not actually coming in together. Okay, they do not know anything. The people who are illiterate, they has to be exploited by the British. They are being exploited by the British. They do not know anything actually. Okay, but then when they are literate, they know that yes, it's my right, and now I'm being exploited, and I need to stand against it. Therefore, illiteracy has to be stopped. Okay, and then many social evils such as sati pratha and caste system. Caste system will not allow them to be united. Again, divide. Okay, so caste system has to be brought up. Child marriage. Okay, all these were very very social evils that were prevailing in that period of time, and killing of female babies. Okay. Many associations and organizations were formed. Reformers like Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, Sir Syed Ahmed Khan, Swami Dayanand Saraswati, Narayan Guru, Devendranath Tagore, and Swami Vivekananda started movement to reform the society and promote education, to reform the society, the religion, etc. Okay, so they all stopped. Now, if we talk about Raja Ram Mohan Roy, he stopped sati, and then Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar brought in widow remarriage, and also stopped child marriage. And then Sir Syed Ahmed Khan was a very promoting ruler for the Muslims. Okay, and then many more. The Swami Dayanand Saraswati from the Arya Samaj. Okay. So traders and businessmen opened modern mills and factories where a large number of people were employed. Okay, so they worked together in these factories. Now they broke all the British rules that no factories for the Indians, etc. They started that factories. Okay, they together worked in the factories, lived at the same place, ate at the same canteen. Okay, so all these things made them free from all the social evils of end of caste system and filled them with feeling of nationalism. Now what used to happen, the caste system, due to the caste system, people of different castes ate in different positions. Okay, lower caste they used to sit on the floor, and the upper caste used to sit on the tables. But then now they ate the same food, sat at the same place, lived at the same place. Okay, and therefore they were brought together. Now, formation of the national associations. About the mid of the 19th century, some national associations were formed, which demanded a share in the British government and some rights for the Indians also. So they demanded justice, and they demanded that you have to think for our welfare also. So therefore, what did they do? They asked for a share of the British government. Okay, but their nature and the demands were regional. So need was felt for all Indian organizations would raise their voice for all Indians on a common platform. So they decided that we will make a common platform, and we will march up together, and then they will form us, and they will talk about all the Indians. Okay, it's all the Indians, the common policies or the common rights that all the Indians require. Okay, therefore Surendranath Banerjee stepped forward in this regard and founded one such organization known as the Indian National Association. What is INA? Indian National Association. This association worked at the national level and opposed the various unjust laws imposed by the British. So this was a national level, not a regional level, a national level which talked of the whole India. And there were various unjust laws imposed by the British. However, soon this organization came to an end as many of the leaders joined Indian National Congress. So this came to an end. This was a failure. Okay, and Indian National Congress was formed, and then many of the leaders went and joined. So, foundation of the Indian National Congress. The British too wanted the Indian organization through which they could know the Indian demands. So, the Indian National Congress was formed in 1885. A.O. Hume, a retired civil servant, okay, civil servant means government worker, was credited with its formation. Its first session was held in Bombay under the presidency of W.C. Banerjee. Okay, W.C. Banerjee. So the session was attended by 72 important leaders from all over the country. Therefore, the INC held its session every year in different parts of the country. The INC tried to educate people politically and to persuade the British government to introduce the reforms which were the welfare of the Indians. Okay, the most important leaders were Dadabhai Naoroji, Surendranath Banerjee, S. Subramania Iyer, Gopal Krishna Gokhale, and M.G. Ranade. Okay, so moderate phase. Now there were two phases of this INC. Okay, now what did they want? Let's see, and how they were divided. Now the moderate phase, in the beginning, the Congress was very modest. It is used to petition the government about the problems of the Indian in a peaceful and polite manner. So this phase is known as a moderate phase. So now, what the in the beginning, the Congress was very polite. Okay, and they used peaceful petitions and peaceful manners to get their freedom. Okay, to get their to do their welfare. Okay, so important moderate leaders were W.C. Banerjee, Dadabhai Naoroji, Surendranath Banerjee, Gopal Krishna Gokhale, S. Subramania Iyer, Badruddin Taibaji. These moderate leaders believed in the winning favors of the British government by petitions and memorandums. So they so through their petitions and through their letters, they requested the Britishers to change these laws and policies which were against the Indians and give them an equal freedom. Okay, but they felt that yes, we need to be under the Britishers only. Okay, however, the British neither felt threatened by them nor care for them too much. So what happened? The Britishers were not very good people. So what did they do? They did not care for all these petitions. The petitions were sent many a times, and they used to throw it in the dustbins. Like, they did not care only for him. Okay, all the letters were all thrown in the dustbin. They did not used to reach the governor only. Okay. So, and the British never felt threatened by them. It's okay, let them do whatever they want. Now, the extremist phase. Okay. So now, when they saw this moderate phase, when they saw that the British are not caring anymore, they did not want the letters only, and they do not care about the letters. Now the extremist phase was formed. The British government hardly cared for the petitions of the moderates. Rather, its brutalities were increasing, so the need of strong action was felt. So brutalities by the British, or the Britishers were brutally killing or brutally torturing the Indians, and therefore the strong action was needed. The British attitude laid the foundation of the emergence of the extremists. Okay, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Bipin Chandra Pal, Lala Lajpat Rai, Aurobindo Ghosh were all the important extremist leaders. So this all of these rulers were not rulers. All these leaders were important extremist rulers. Now what did they do? The extremist leaders said that the government could not be moved through this polite means. Okay, petitions and meetings. Some efforts had to be made to compel the government to introduce these reforms. They had great faith in self-reliance and self-respect of Indian people. They demanded Swaraj. Okay, they believed that the Indians had power and courage to rise against the British, and they could make great sacrifices. Okay, they believed in direct action, no petitions and nothing. Direct action. Whatever they felt is wrong, they took a direct action. What are these actions? They produce hartals. Okay, rallies, processions, picketing, Swadeshi, and boycott. So what did they do? They fired all the British goods, etc. They killed Britishers, okay, and all this. They were extremists. They produced hartals, okay, then rallies used to block trains and buses used to block roads, okay. What we call as strikes today was done by them, okay. When they demanded Swadeshi, they demanded Swaraj. They told that okay, you don't have to rule for us. We will rule for ourselves only, okay. Next. Now the Bengal division. Okay, this was an important part in history, so you need to learn it. By and by, Congress gained the support and faith of the people because the people were brutally tortured by the Britishers. Okay, but the Indian people were tortured by the Britishers very brutally. So the Congress people who were from a lower section of society, they knew all the tortures, and therefore people caught attention for them. The moderators, they were rich people. They did not knew. They had much money. They did not knew of the poor societies. They did not care also. But the extremists do care, and then the the people of India already felt attracted, and then the Congress gained support and faith of the people. Okay, the British felt threatened by the rising trend of nationalism among the Indians. So the British felt threatened that yes, now we had to get out of here. So they felt threatened, but they would not leave India or each province. Okay, so they adopted the policy of divide and rule. Now who adopted? Let's see. To weaken the United Indians. So the Indians were united. Okay. At that point of time, they would no more listen of all those Britishers. Okay. They were united. The Britishers divided the state of Bengal into two halves in 1905. So, the state of Bengal, okay, comprised of West Bengal and Bangladesh, both. Just to look at the atlas, they comprise of both West Bengal and Bangladesh. So, it was merged, okay. And now, what did the Britishers do? They divided this Bengal into two halves. The Viceroy, Lord Curzon, announced that Bengal was a large province and to administer it was a great problem. So, they divided into East Bengal and West Bengal. But no, Bengal was not that large province that Lord Curzon could not control it, okay. Lord Curzon mainly could not control it because it was rising, okay. Nationalism was rising in the capital of Calcutta. Okay, so it was divided into two parts, and that is East Bengal and West Bengal. East Bengal is what we call Bangladesh today, and you know West Bengal. But this real reason was to create enmity between the Hindus and the Muslims of the state. So all the Hindus were sent in the west. So this was created to form a division between the Hindus and the Muslims. In fact, it was a partition based on the religion basis. Okay, so this partition was not based on the it was not based on the it was not based on that of what area what people lived. Okay, it was on the base of religion. Okay, that's why everybody knew that what's the real reason. In fact, it was a partition on a religion basis. East Bengal was a Muslim majority area, while West Bengal was a Hindu majority area. Okay, so they separated. But the people saw through this kindness and protested against it. Now the people understood that yes, they wanted to divide us. And so what did they do? They protested. Okay. Both the extremists and the moderator leaders took a lead. So both the extremists and the moderators protested very brutally against it. Meetings were held and demonstrations were taken out. These meetings and demonstrations ensured the participation of common people, so it became a mass movement. But they knew all these things. The Indians knew all these things, and therefore what did they do? They protested against this. And on the day of this partition, the Hindus and the Muslims tied Rakhis in the hand of each other, and Rabindranath Tagore was leading that. Okay. So the Swadeshi and the boycott movements. The extremist leaders encouraged people to protest against these divisions. They obstruct strikes and hold meetings and demonstration and marched into the streets singing Vande Mataram, which was the national song of India till today also. They encouraged people to take a plea to use only Swadeshi or Indian goods. You know that no industries were there for the Indians. Okay, I told you that no industries was being allowed to create for the by the Indians. So what did the Swadeshis do? They encouraged people to use only Swadeshi, that means Indian goods, and boycott all the foreign or British manufactured goods. Okay, and the people will do that only, right? Because Swadeshi goods are much cheaper. So the movements are known as Swadeshi and or boycott movements. Women and students also came out in the support of this movement. See, sex was improving, gender divisions was reducing. Soon this movement spread to the other parts of the country. The Britishers tried to stop the movement with brutal beatings, shootings and imprisonment. So they beated us, lathi charge, shoots, okay, hanged people, they imprisoned people, okay. But in spite of this, the movement grew larger. At last, the Britishers could not stop the movement, okay, and they had to abolish the partition of Bengal. So they abolished the partition of Bengal. They told, okay, Bengal will be reunited again. Hence, the state was reunited in 1911. Okay, and on the same year, they moved their capital from Calcutta to Delhi. Okay, because they knew that Calcutta is becoming a center of revolutions, and it's becoming a center of it's becoming a center of this independence. So the revolutionaries. Many young people were not satisfied with the way the moderates and the extremists were working. They wanted to raise the British by forces and revolutionary methods. These people were called the revolutionaries. Leaders were Ajit Singh, Ashwin Kumar Dutt, Khudiram Bose, etc. So they did not like the ways the extremists and the moderates were working. They were separate groups. Okay. The revolutionary movement grew in India, Punjab and Maharashtra. Here secret societies were made and the youth were trained in making and exploding firearms. So now they were far more than the extremists. What did the extremists do? They lathi charge, they made hartals, they boycotted goods, they burned goods, okay, till then. But they did not plan secretly and kill British, but these revolutionaries did. They killed the British, planned with a plan in their head, okay. So revolutionary movement grew in Bengal, Punjab and Maharashtra. Secret societies were made and trained in making and using explosive and firearms. They wanted to strike terror in the British. Okay, they targeted the unpopular British officer. In 1908, in Muzaffarpur, Khudiram Bose and Prafulla Chaki threw a bomb at the British coach, in which 2 British women were killed. Chaki killed himself while Khudiram Bose were caught and executed. Okay, many revolutionaries were dealt severely. They were shot dead, hanged, or sent to the cellular jail in the Andaman Island. We see many names when we go to the cellular jail in the Andaman Island of the revolutionaries. Okay, that was known by the Indians as and these revolutionaries, when they were captured in the cellular jail in Andaman, they were no more taken back to their society, because it was known as the Andaman, that water of Bay of Bengal was known as Kala Pani. Not only of Bay of Bengal, okay, it was known by many, like it was known by like many, okay, that it's Kala Pani, and we would not like to take it over. So if anyone has crossed seas or Kala Pani, okay, then they would be killed. That was told to these castes, okay, and they also like they not would be killed, they would be executed. Leave. I could not do the circle. Okay. Not executed, they would lose their caste, okay. They would become Dalits. Now revolutionaries also got support from outer India. D. Swavankar, Swamji Krishna Varma, Lala Hardayal, Madam Bhikaji Kama, Rajbihari Bose, Mohammad Bakhtullah were active in the other parts of the world. So they were getting encouragement from the other parts of the world also to kill British. Enemies become friends. Okay. The migrants from Punjab who had settled in America formed the Gadar party to help the revolutionaries. Okay. They collected huge amount of money and bought arms and ammunition and sent a large number of volunteers to India, and then they used to fight with all this. But the British government became aware of their plans. Many of them were arrested and hanged. The British dealt with them ruthlessly. Okay. First World War. The First World War broke in 1914. India had nothing to do with the war, but the British sent a large number of Indian soldiers to the war. India did not participate in the war, but then the British sent a large number of Indian soldiers to the war. The Indian leaders decided to help the British. Okay? They thought that India would be given freedom once the war was over, but this did not happen. The government made strict laws and enforced them harshly. Okay, during the war. Okay, but they the Indians thought that they would be Britishers would be happy with them and would give them independence, but this did not happen. By this time, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi had returned to India and led the struggle for freedom. Now see what happens next. That we'll see in the next chapter. Thank you so much.